Hello. It's a nice morning here. The sun is exceptionally bright. I kind of just wanted to talk about how, or I guess this was what was on my mind. Um, I was thinking about how sometimes, like, we just in living around other humans, we have to, like, forego certain truths, kind of just leave them where they are, um, whether it be for people's comfort or to preserve a sense of mystery. Say in the case of like romance, you definitely want to forego discussing certain certain elements of certain things that may come in the future, just so that there's that element um, of mystery, and that has that energy in it. And just because like sometimes it's a good a lot to let the truth just kind of speak for itself, because the truth kind of escapes words, you know, or maybe it's the other way around, but truth or words kind of fall short of truth anyways. So sometimes it's good to forego, just leave certain things where they are. Like sometimes it's good to let your credentials or just let your actions speak for themselves. A lot of people have maybe had their parents tell them this, just, let your actions speak for themselves, and this will be the case for a lot, and that's something I have had to remind myself of a lot in the past, you know what I mean? Because it's something that happens because I guess I'm fairly high in openness, so I'm like I can be a bit of an oversharer if I'm not paying attention. So, um, so sometimes it's best for everyone to just like leave things where they are, and or because you can still do your thing as long as you're not hurting anyone, and you can speak your truth, and you can especially ask for help if you need help. But sometimes it's good to forgo certain truths, just because it doesn't add much it doesn't, because it won't add anything positive. Sometimes you need to be one or a step ahead of yourself, and just try to stay sharp, not so much to hurt people, but you want to stay sharp enough to know, be aware of what your actions are doing, and how someone may interpret your actions, you know? So, because I've been thinking about that a lot, I've had to make myself quite aware of that, you know what I mean? Just because, like, because sometimes, you know what I mean, you see the guy screaming the truth down, or what he thinks is the truth on the corner, or sometimes people think the street preacher is a bit abrasive, and, I can't say whether he's for sure doing the thing that's right or wrong, but I can see how he does lose people. Now, maybe there is this kind of desperation in the moment with that type of case where you're just like, please look and see this thing. Maybe that is an exception. I'm not sure. I don't have all the answers, but definitely, like, it's good. Like, what we can handle as individuals isn't necessarily the same for everybody. You know what I mean? And it's not about like policing yourself at every step. You don't necessarily want to do that either, because that's not healthy. But, you know, it's good to kind of float on the ground, kind of just as much as you can, just float on air, and just think about what you're doing, because you want everyone to be as comfortable as possible, and you don't want to be dishonest either. And sometimes it might seem like there's a thin line, but remember that words will always do a disservice to the truths anyways. You know what I mean? They'll help you when you need help, when you need to reach out for help. Absolutely, and you should use them. But sometimes, yeah, just like we've all heard, kind of let your actions speak for themselves. And you know, so we oftentimes think it's quite distasteful when someone will record themselves going and like giving someone like on the street, like someone who's having a hard time, like maybe they're homeless, or maybe they're on the street if in some circumstance. We oftentimes think it's distasteful for someone to record themselves giving something to them, and we oftentimes will see people say, "Oh, maybe it would have been better for you to give them nothing, for you to have, you know, like made them, for you to have indignified them like that." Which totally makes sense, you know. If I do something good, I definitely don't think to run and broadcast it, which is funny. It's like the things I'm here choosing to broadcast are fairly average thoughts to me, that I just think that maybe someone might get something out of it, you know what I mean? Or not get something out of it, maybe they won't, maybe they'll just feel like maybe they've thought something similar before, you know what I mean? But whatever it is, I'm just thinking that I'm probably not doing a whole lot of hurt in doing this. I can't imagine what I'm doing here making people victims. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do think we can't live our lives like really like policing every moment to such an extent that we live a tortured existence. But I mean, there's certain things we should be able to reflect on at the end of the day and say, okay, maybe I need to try harder tomorrow. Maybe I need to try harder at this or that, or you know, whatever it is. I've definitely had a long road. I mean, like most of us. I mean, it's it's a hard thing to settle, you know, and say I'm not gonna let myself keep getting better, like becoming like better, you know, like whether it's becoming more intelligent and becoming more helpful to others, and optimizing your performance and the things you do. Like maybe that's just something that, you know, like that comes very natural to me, to want to kind of be aware of what I'm doing enough to know, like to know when I'm overstepping certain things, and to know when I'm sure I almost need sunglasses here now. Just where the sun is. But yeah, yeah, I'm actually even gonna back up. The sun's a bit much right now. But yeah, I was just thinking about the general the general thought of how we often do we often do have to forego the truth, speaking the truth. Like, yeah, like for instance, yeah, in relationships, the mystery is contingent upon just as much things we don't say as things we do say, which is an interesting prospect. And it's oftentimes in best taste to, yeah, to leave things where they are most naturally. Words fall short. Words very often will fall short, and they might end up even doing damage, not just falling short of what your expectations are. They might actually do an incredible disservice to what your desired outcomes are, So yeah, it's definitely. I just thought because it was on my mind, maybe I'd share it. And just maybe someone else needs to hear it. Maybe someone else has thought it recently. I'm not sure. Maybe both. Well, I'm sure both. Yeah, if it just reaches the right person. Not many people are like seeing these just yet, at least, or maybe not at all. But I'm not doing this for necessarily some sort of success. It's not about that at all. I think I'd probably be more like viral about content, you know what I mean? But I kind of just have these things that I want to share, and I think I might as well put them out there, because these are the things that I find it makes sense to not forego. Like, for instance, maybe you should not forego the discussion about foregoing certain topics, that could greatly help someone. Maybe someone that doesn't understand social situations as well. Maybe someone like that. And you should, it's good for them to know we don't, we don't talk about everything in our lives, and we definitely don't want to gloat or be proud or too proud, you know what I mean, to our own detriment. We absolutely don't want that. Just because we want to maintain people's comfort, and they're a lot more like you than you think, They're a lot more like you than you think. You just want to be, you want to be as good as possible, because there's certain things that actually will not benefit you, and they certainly will not benefit others, so, and a lot of that has to do with words that are just unnecessary. Some are outright hurtful, and some are just maybe to your own detriment, not saying when it's hurtful to someone else, it's not to your own detriment, because that is, in a sense, to your own detriment, because it poorly represents you if you're trying to be a good person, and it also, it's just you've done the wrong thing, so the action speaks for itself, because to speak is also an action, but, when we also speak of our actions, and we can't quite, there's conventions around speech, and sometimes reservation is very, is quite healthy, well, very often reservation is quite healthy, like, we don't share the darker things about us, maybe just work on them in private, unless the darker things are so much that we do need help, in which case we reach out, but then to the right people. We don't necessarily share it with everyone, because then, remember, it could be of a disservice to us. So, I just thought I'd share that, just because I've been thinking about that the past day. I've been thinking about that the past day, just because someone asked me a question just to do with relationships, and I just said it was, just asking, oh, does she so-and-so, you know, asking if I know, well, where I don't necessarily know anyways, but I said you should forgo discussing certain things, but you should have no hesitation in other things, like seeing your appreciation for someone, or, you know, there's certain things you'll regret not saying, you know, like if someone close to you dies, you will regret all the times you didn't tell them that you loved them. You know, you'll regret all the times that, maybe the times you did just skim over something very important. So maybe there's certain things you absolutely should not forgo, but there's certain things, you know, let your talents speak for themselves. Let your good deeds speak for themselves. And in the cases of romance, you know, you should, there's a fine line that you need to feel out. Like, there needs to be some mystery, but you can't forgo discussing certain things to make sure that there's comfort, you know. And then you absolutely should not forgo, you know, telling your elderly grandparents that you love them. You know, you definitely should not forgo that. Absolutely not. So, there you go. I thought I'd share that. Just in how we sometimes forego the truth. For the truth's sake. Because it actually renders better it blossoms nicer. It becomes something better. For everyone. For you, and then for everyone else. So I just wanted to touch on that. Okay. Alright, you can like and subscribe if you like it. It's not a big huge deal. Alright. See you guys. I'll make another video soon, just maybe something similar. Okay.